Hi, I'm James Harper. I am pastor of First Presbyterian Church, and I appreciate you taking some time to watch this video to find out a little bit more about who we are and what we're up to at First Presbyterian Church. This video is a topic that may not be as broadly as interesting to you as some of the other videos. This is a topic that gets into some of the behind-the-scenes realities of our denomination, and it's our polity or our structure, how we organize ourselves. And we'll start with the ordained offices. There are 3 ordained offices in our church. First is a pastor. That is like me, someone who is seminary trained. And then we ordain people into a role called elder, which is a person who is locally trained, like what I do each year for our elders, and who serves in the shepherding of the church. And then there's the deacon. Now, we don't have deacons here, but other churches do. And those are also locally trained, and they're really more ordained to the work of doing the care for the physical needs of the people of the church. And those 3 ordained positions are kind of the key people in our organizational structure. And then we have 4 levels of our structure, going from the smallest unit, which is the individual congregation, and then working up. The next one up is the session, and then next up the chain is presbytery, and then synods. And I'm going to explain those for us here, just one by one, go through each one. We can start with the congregation. That is the voting members of this church. They are people who have authority, and they have authority for very specific things within our structure. There are things that only congregations can vote for, and those are the things that mostly pertain to who leads them and how they handle their property matters. So here's a list from our Constitution. The congregation has authority to make decisions about these limited matters. Number 1, choosing their own leaders. That is, choosing elders, pastors, and we can add deacons. 2, it is about buying, selling property. 3, it can vote on acquiring debt. No one else can make a congregation buy, sell property, or acquire debt. The 4th is for asking dismissal from the denomination. And the 5th is amending church legal documents like bylaws or things of articles of incorporation. So that's the smallest unit and the most important unit in our structure. And then the next up is a session. The session is the governing board of a local congregation, and it is comprised of elders and pastors. Now, in our church, there are 2 pastors and there are 9 elders, and so you can see that the elders have a bigger voting block than the pastors, and so the elders have a significant influence on what happens here in the church. And so the session decides all matters about the ministry of the church, other than those things that were previously delegated to the congregation. And so the session is where budgets are made, where spiritual leadership of the church is defined, the strategic direction of the future of the church is defined here. These are things that are all within the purview of the session. Now, as you move up in the structure, and when you have what's called a presbytery, all the sessions, all the churches in a region are all gathered together in this one body called a presbytery. Our presbytery is comprised of all the congregations within Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, and Mississippi. And we meet together 3 times a year. And the presbyteries in their meetings have exactly 1/2 elders and 1/2 pastors. And there's 3 things that presbyteries do that are unique to them. One is they approve pastors for churches. I have to be approved by the presbytery before I can go to a church, and that is a way to bring accountability to pastors so that pastors can't keep moving around in different churches. Number 2, they approve people to be candidates for ordination. So anybody who wants to go through ordination has at least a 2-year process to go through to get ordained, and the presbytery decides if they can move forward in that. And then third is they discipline pastors. So when pastors get out of line, and sadly that happens sometimes, it's the presbytery that holds them accountable. Now, the very top level of the structure of our denomination is called a synod, S-Y-N-O-D. All the presbyteries are organized into a synod. Our synod has 405 churches at the time of this filming and 22 presbyteries. And just like in presbyteries, all the decisions made at synod meetings are made by one half elders and one half pastors, so that the lay people as well as the professional people are making decisions together with a balance of power between the two. Our denomination is called ECO, the Covenant Order of Evangelical Presbyterians, and the synod has some authority unique to it and which affects churches. One is the synod compiles the Constitution, so all the things voted on in our Constitution are voted at synod meetings from pastors and elders of local churches. Number two, the synod is the only body that can define the theological positions of the denomination. And three, the synod approves ordination standards. The presbytery will decide if a person is ready to be ordained, but it's the standard for ordination that is approved by the denomination. I hope that all makes sense to you. So we have 4 levels of our structure. We have the congregation, the session, the presbytery, and the synod. And the elders and the pastors at every level, except the congregational level, make decisions together. There's no decisions that are made just by the professionals who are ordained, and nor just by the volunteers who are ordained. Is all at all levels, the session, the presbytery, and the synod. There's a balance of authority there, which makes for a really great decision-making process. If you want to learn more about our particular denomination, you can go to the webpage, www.eco-pres.org. I think you'll find on that website a lot of information about our denomination and the things that we value. And I think you'll find them to be very favorable. You'll find them to be similar to the heart of this church and the heart of most devoted Christians. And it's a denomination that really focuses on building flourishing churches who make flourishing Christians. And we are glad to be a part of it. And I think you'll find, if you dig into that website, you'll be glad that we're part of the denomination also. I hope this helps you understand a little bit more about how we're structured. As always, you can send me questions at james@fpcdouglasville.org. Thanks for watching.